You got Kansas City minus 1.5 versus Miami. This one surprises me.
Why does it surprise you? Why?
Miami probably win that game. Chiefs, offensive production, travel.
What's Miami? Can I ask a question?
Miami's been out there.
Can I ask a question? What's Miami's good? Like, wow, they're a legit contender. Look who they beat performance this year. I'm just curious.
They have right. They have not had the toughest slate of games, I'll admit.
Well, they've had two very tough games, and they got blown out in both of them. They week 1, they played the Chargers, and that's a good win. But that's a win they also needed a fourth quarter comeback to execute, and they win by 2. Week 2, they play the Patriots, and they win by 7. The Patriots butcher the end of the game when they have a chance to tie it. Week 3, they embarrass and annihilate the Dolphins, hang 70 on them. Week 4, they play Buffalo and get annihilated. Week 5, they beat up on the woebegone Giants. Week 6, they beat up on the just as woebegone Carolina Panthers. Week 7, they play a big boy team, the Eagles. They get annihilated. And last week, they beat the Patriots again, 31-17. The Dolphins with Jalen Ramsey, I am more interested in because he came back last week.
Immediate
looked
impact.
like immediate impact. I think the Dolphins are good. I think despite everyone saying the sky is falling, I think the Chiefs are great. I think the Chiefs defense will be able to handle as much as anyone can handle Tyreek Hill. They're familiar with him. They have the best pair of corners in the NFL in McDuffie and Snead. And the Chiefs are pissed off. Mahomes is clearly upset with what happened last week. For all of those reasons, and I'm laying less than a field goal. And one other note that I think is relevant, in the Mahomes era, the Chiefs have lost back-to-back games sparingly few times. So if we go through it, the Chiefs have, last year they lost back-to-back games 0 times. In 2021, they lost back-to-back games 1 time. One was a 1-point loss to Baltimore, and then a final possession loss to the Chargers in weeks 2 and 3. 2020, they never lost back-to-back games. 2019, they lost back-to-back games to Indy and Houston, and that was it. And 2018, did they ever lose back-to-back in 2018? Oh, at the very end of the season. So a Mahomes 6-year career as a starter, they've lost back-to-back games 3 times ever. All of them involved at least one of those games, either the loss coming on the final play or in overtime or by 1 point. They're not losing this week. So I like the Chiefs. If it were 3.5, I'd feel differently. At 1.5, I like Kansas City. I don't typically put the Chiefs in Nick's picks because they're not a great covering team, but they are also not typically favored by less than a field goal. And by the way, but the producers put in there, Tua's won 11 consecutive games straight up versus Super Bowl winning head coaches. Fun fact, here's the other fact, Tua's only loss against a Super Bowl winning head coach came against Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. Next.
All right, Tampa Bay +3 at Houston. I love that one.
You do love that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So Houston is a good story. Houston also, last week, you saw it a bit, doesn't have a ton of talent on the roster. Losing to Carolina is a bad loss. Tampa is coming off a bye. Tampa is in a spot where they absolutely, I shouldn't say coming off a bye, pardon me. Tampa had the mini bye because they played on Thursday, so they're not coming off a bye, but they have the extra rest, I should say. Tampa getting 3 points when they are a desperate team. They are the more veteran team, and Houston right now is coming off its worst loss of the year, not because of the margin, but because who they lost to.
Atlanta -4.5 versus Minnesota.
Okay, so here is the thing.
I mean,
I
you're just
have
saying
the
the
last.
quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins isn't playing. Is the logic?
I have the last 2 weeks lost picks that I have based purely on who the quarterback is. I lost the Tyson Bagent game, and then I lost the Will Levis situation. So why am I laying 4.5 with Atlanta?
Don't do this.
And it is. Why are you shaking your head, Demonte?
I don't think you should do this. I think this is.
Why shouldn't I do this?
You know how you say like the hot team or whatever week by week. You're doing it with quarterbacks. First it was the Bears, and then you went for the Bears, and now you're going over here to Minnesota because Kirk Cousins is missing. I would not give Atlanta any benefit of the doubt to be laying 4.5 points. That's just where I stand on it. You're probably going to go even harder on it now, but hey.
No, I'm not going to go any even harder on it. And what you're saying does theoretically make sense. And I understand the point you're making. And 4.5 is a tricky line. And it does feel like that this is a very square pick. I get all of that. The counterpoint is, I think that Heineke is better than Ritter.
Dallas +3 at Philadelphia.
You don't like this one?
I think Dallas is going to get destroyed.
Okay, so here's Dak has lost once to the Eagles since 2017. Dak is the 5th best quarterback in NFL history against his own division. Last year, Dak hung 40 on Philadelphia in a game Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, but Jalen Hurts doesn't play defense. That Philadelphia secondary last week let Sam Howell look like a star. For all those reasons, I think Dallas absolutely can win this game, and I'm getting a full 3 points, and Jalen Hurts is a little gimpy, which makes me question whether or not they're going to be as gung-ho on running the brotherly shove.
Chargers -3.5 at the Jets.
Yeah, I think the Jets' performance last week was one of the worst performances in a win I've ever seen. I understand they got the win against the Giants. That was a truly pathetic performance on all fronts. And if I know anything about the Chargers, what the Chargers will do is beat the Jets and look impressive, only to have everyone be like, oh, did we write off the Chargers too soon? Only to then have the Lions absolutely annihilate them next week in Los Angeles. And so the Chargers laying less than a field goal on. And by the way, Zach Wilson has pretty quickly gone right back to being Zach Wilson. I know we gave him his flowers for, acquitting himself decently against the Chiefs. Since then, he has a 75 rating, 1 touchdown, 1 pick in 3 weeks of football. Remarkably, the team is 3-0 in those games. I do not think that is sustainable. I will admit, I don't love laying the extra half point here. And it's the Chargers going cross country. I understand all of that. But Zach Wilson on national TV, I think this is going to be one of those games that the Chargers pass rush gets home and gets to him. That Jets offensive line has not been good. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.